Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Good to have you here today. I'm out on a walk. I didn't plan on doing one of these devotions, but I'm listening to a podcast about the religious state of people in America and how, compared to other countries, we are a very religious country, meaning we have a lot of people that go to church, a lot of people profess some form of faith, and it's a really interesting podcast and an interesting idea. First of all, my name is Dave. I'm a Christian recording artist and a worship leader based in New Jersey, and I travel up and down the East Coast leading nights of hope and nights of worship, just trying to draw people closer and closer to Jesus. So obviously a pretty relevant topic to what I do and how I do it, because I'm always trying to find new ways to introduce Jesus to people and lead them in an experience where they feel like they've gotten a little closer to who God is and what he's doing in all of our lives and how he works and all this stuff. And I get it. Like, there's a lot of folks that they were just talking about, complete atheists, folks that just do not believe. And they were also talking about how some of those folks that do not believe are on a mission to convert people that are religious, that have some belief in God, some belief in whatever they believe, trying to find a way to kind of pull them out of that and make them believe more that there's nothing to believe. And my heart just sank for a minute. I was just like, man, that is a really hard thing to hear, because we're out there and we're trying to, for lack of a better word, convert people to Christianity, convert people to believing in Jesus. And I use that word hesitantly, because convert is not the right word. We're looking for ways to introduce Jesus to people so that they can see the freedom and the hope that he brings into our lives. And man, I gotta tell you, it's not an easy conversation with a lot of folks. And it's a hard thing to kind of believe and understand and introduce to people. And so if you're in that place where you're out there doing your thing, living your life as a Christian, just know that you are seen, you are heard, and that you're making a difference. And so I stopped the podcast and just hold on a second. I stopped the podcast and I just started praying, and I was praying for these. So the podcast was by this guy named Derek Thompson. I listened to him a bunch, and I started praying for Derek. I started praying for that group of people that are atheists, that don't believe. And I just started thinking to myself, like, what would a life without Jesus look like, and how hard it would be, right? How difficult it would be to not believe in heaven. One of the polls that this guy took was, when you die, what do you believe happens? And like a good number of people were like, that's it. We literally get thrown into the earth, and that is the end of it all. And my heart just broke a little bit, because we know that there is this risen Jesus that came and died for you, for me, for all of us, so that we wouldn't have to die, right? There's this promise embedded in the scriptures, embedded in everything that we study all the time as Christians, that Jesus came to die for us so that we wouldn't have to die, and so that we wouldn't have to live in the sin that we have. And I know that sounds a little like, oh, you're getting so religious, but take the religion out of it and just put Jesus into it and just go by his words, by what he spoke and what he promised. His love, mercy, grace, hope, peace, comfort, like all I just ramble that list all the time, but it's so important to understand that Jesus came to die for you and me. And so I listen to these alternate ways of living, these alternate thoughts, and my heart just breaks. And so Jesus called us to tell people about him, to literally live the love of Jesus in our everyday lives. And by living the love, people will see him, will hear about him, will know him, and ultimately trust him in a relationship over the course of their lives, so that when they do die, and we all will die, there is no exception to that rule. When that happens, we are welcomed into a life with him. And man, it's important. I really think that's important. And so that was just the thought this morning. Just this idea that, oh yeah, we get wrapped up in our little Christian bubbles, in our little, bubbles of like, oh, the people that everybody we hang out with is a Christian. But on the other end of the spectrum, there are folks out there that are atheists, full-blown, like, atheists. And they don't want to hear about Jesus. They don't want to hear about, quote unquote, the good news, They just want to live their life and not be bothered. And what can we do? So this morning, I was just praying for him. Just praying that God would use somebody somewhere to teach them something about who he is and about the wonders of the Father and the wonders of who Jesus is and how much he loves us. And so that's the call today. Live the love. I wrote an album a couple of years back called Live the Love. It's available on my app if you want to check it out at downloadworship.com. But the idea that runs the little undercurrent through that whole album is that we are here to live the love of Jesus, to tell people that they're loved, to be honest about our relationship with him, to live the love of Jesus, to be sometimes speechless in his presence, and to understand what love is. And sometimes that means that we just have to roll on in the midst of the troubles, right? There's surrender involved. There's hope involved when we realize that there is daylight coming in the name of Jesus. And sometimes it's not our call to put our faith into worldly things like songs or careers or finances, but really just to fall deeply in love with Jesus. And so I've never done that before, but I've never spoken through. So in that little talk, I hit on every song idea and every song title. And so, but that's what the album's about. It's called Live the Love. I'd love for you to hear it. But it really is just about living the love of Jesus every day in our lives and being Jesus to the world that we encounter in our little small sphere of influences, just living and being the love of Jesus. So today, pray for your neighbors, pray for your family, pray for your friends, pray for those who are lost, because God calls us to do that. Okay? Thanks for taking a few minutes here this morning and tuning in. Again, if you want to grab the music and grab some devotions and grab some written devotions and and podcasts, you can just download the app. Just go to downloadworship.com and get involved with our app and with all that we have going on there. And beautiful morning this morning. Good to chat with you. Okay, we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.